Italy is a very easy place to draw because it probably is the one country which has the most, I think it has the greatest number of architectural and ancient relics, to the point that some of them are not even well maintained. If you go to any place in Italy, you can go into most of these antiquities paying very little money. I always wonder why they don't charge more money. It's not that money, not that you want to overcharge, but I think it would help them to maintain these things because many of them need a lot of maintenance. And you see some of them are so half ruins. And you do have to cover the top, and you have to make sure that the mortar doesn't fall out, because otherwise the whole thing will collapse. There are some sketches here that you'll see that are of things that have been put to modern use, even though they are 2,000 years old. Some of them, like for instance, the Porta Picciana in Rome, which is the fourth picture from the left, which is still a gateway, and is still being used as such. And then there's another one which I really like very much, which is on the Roman Forum, which I think is straight ahead of you, the second one on the left over there, I think, which is the Temple of Maxentius. You really, wherever you look in Rome, or anywhere in Italy for that matter, you want to sketch it, and I tend to concentrate on things that have a lot of light and shade on them. I almost draw the shadow as against the object. I have some sketches that are not here that I haven't drawn it, I've just drawn the shadow. You can take the whole object from that, just looking at the shadows. And I think but it also makes you work very fast, because the sun doesn't stay still, or I should say the earth doesn't stay still. And as you move, the shadows move, and if you don't work very, very fast, then the shadows will have changed, and they will be the same thing. 5 minutes later, it's something different. So mostly what I do is I very quickly sketch everything in, and by the way, I don't draw with pencil, I draw with ink right away. And then at a certain moment, I decide I've got enough. I will then very fast put all the shadows in, so that they all tend to come from the same source, the same angle of light. That's how you get them. I have close to 1,000 sketches. These are only 24. Okay, so obviously I didn't want to put them all out here because I wouldn't have had the energy to hang them for one thing.
Peter, do you decide ahead of time where you're going to go and sketch, or do you go by it and say,
my sketchbook is always with me, and I walk along. If I see something, I sketch it. Yeah. Once in a while I say, it's not the time, I can't sketch it now, so I'll come back to that spot. It may be late in the afternoon, the light may be wrong. I said, well, if I come back tomorrow morning, it's just going to be perfect, so I come back tomorrow morning and I do it.
Yeah.
But that means I am then in a place where I will be for several days. Sometimes when you're on a trip for a day, that doesn't happen.
But you always have equipment with you. So
yes, but the equipment consists of a little sketchbook, which is the size of these sketches, a bunch of pens, and a seat. Yeah. I have a folding seat that I carry, it's an aluminum thing.
Oh, yeah.
Some of the airlines won't let me on with that thing. They gave me a lot of trouble. One of them did. They said it's some sort of weapon. I said it's not a weapon. It's my seat. But it goes, anyhow. So that's it. That's the background. I'm not I don't call myself an artist, meaning my profession is I'm an architect, but I do a lot of drawing, and so that's what you see. And some of you probably know that I have a book on Lincoln which is on sale at the Old Town Hall Exchange, and also at the Cordova Museum. So if you're interested in that, but most of you probably already have my book. But anyhow, I'm willing to answer any questions, and that's all I have to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Tell us what happened in Amsterdam.
Where?
In Amsterdam.
Oh, well, that was a sad story. Susan says I should tell you what happened in Amsterdam. We were in Amsterdam for 10 days. And, we went, not just in Amsterdam, we went outside Amsterdam. We went to the Hague, I went down to Rotterdam and some of these other places. And one but last day, the 9th day, we had just been to an exhibit, and we got on a streetcar to go to another place, and I was sitting on one side of the streetcar. There were single seats, on the other side there were double seats. And I was sitting on one of the single seats, like this. There was my bag. And we went a few stops, and I looked down, the bag's not there. I'm sitting like this, and somebody managed to pull the bag out from between my legs. And I really didn't care. I mean, I lost my camera and stuff, but I mean, that's replaceable. But my sketchbook was in there with 40 sketches. And Susan thought they surely wouldn't be wanting to have my sketch. They probably threw my sketchbook in a trash can, so Susan thought, and she went to look all over the trash cans. But unfortunately, the sketchbook never turned up. But what I managed to do, every time I did that, I bought one of those instant cameras, and I rushed around the next day, my last day, and I took a few photos inside Amsterdam of things I've sketched before. So then I made sketches from those things, but I couldn't reproduce the things I did in The Hague and some of the other places, because of course.
I bet when they find the Gardner paintings, your drawings will be with them.
Yeah.
And there's a thought.
I'm waiting for them to turn up as postcards.
In an exhibition.
Yeah.
In Amsterdam.
I'd like to ask you a question about drawing, because it seems to me you've convinced one that there is a building there or there's a structure, and you do it without a lot of fill-in. And so there must have been a time when you decided that was the way you were going to sketch things. You know, I've seen work by artists who are incredibly eloquent with just a line, and I think, you know, a lot of your drawings are very clear.
What happens, you see, is that the more you draw, the more you can leave out, I think, sometimes. And once upon a time when I was still at college, I would draw every single thing, and you want to put everything in there, and you spend 2 or 3 hours drawing, and the sketch loses all its life. It becomes a very static thing. A very nice rendering might be what you create, but it's not something that's alive. And because I tend to concentrate on the light, it has to be quick. I'll tell you a story that you've all heard of Ronald Searle. Ronald Searle, the cartoonist, who was an Englishman, and he was imprisoned by the Japanese in Singapore during the war. And he started drawing in that prison camp, and he realized that he shouldn't draw with too many lines. And there were a lot of cats running around. And he wrote about this, so I'm not telling you anything that I created, but he would draw the cats. And what he tried to do every time he drew a cat, he said, I'm trying to draw the cat with fewer lines and fewer lines and fewer lines. Because in the end, to have life in the drawing, that's really what you need to do. So there's another way of looking at the drawing, that is, you start with a particular piece on what you see, and you tend to pick up what some people call the significant line or the significant element in that particular scene. You draw that first, and then when you reach the time that you think you've been sitting there long enough, the rest is very quickly sketched. So you will have concentrated on one or other aspect of whatever you've seen. You don't try and draw everything. And that's the point. That's you asked me about that. I think that's how I did the work.
Improve upon it after you've left the site.
I tend not to improve. I mean, I might look at it later, and if I might put a touch on it. But the elapsed time would be anything between 45 minutes and an hour and a half.
I would like to tell a story about Peter in Paris.
Whoops.
We went to Paris with the Sugars, and Peter went off with his 3-legged stool, and we knew he was going sketching, and I started walking because it's a wonderful city to walk in. And I came down the street, and in front of me, I thought I saw a baker sitting up against the building. And I got some change out, and it was Peter.
This
wasn't Peter.
This is a follow-up in a different way. We were in Italy with some friends of ours, and we were in Lucca. And I sat in one of the squares there, piazzas, and I was drawing the church, and I was completely engrossed. And suddenly, two guys walked by, and they threw me a coin. I looked up, they were two of my friends.
I didn't waste the coin.
Well, he's very Scotchman.
There's a place in Spain where on the tour they show you this little balcony, and it has a stool on it, and it's known because that's where Winston Churchill always sat to do his sketching. It overlooks a lot.
Wonderful.
And he keeps, the stool is there and it's his.
Do they put a plaque on it?
No.
A cigar and a brandy.
A box of cigars.
Peter, have you your ink is very, very successful medium for you, I think. Have you used a different colored paper, perhaps? Or different texture paper?
I've never, no. The paper tends to be something that's fairly smooth, not with a sheen. It has a little bit of nap in it, but mostly it's a fairly smooth piece of paper. If it's very smooth, the ink would tend to run on it and would not be very nice. And if it's very heavy textures, you couldn't do a straight line because it would tend to look like that because it would go over the unevenness of the paper. So the sketchbook is basically just supposed to be an archival paper, and the pens. Initially, many of these sketches go back to the 70s, and I used initially an ink that wasn't permanent. So now I have to watch that no sunlight gets on some of these sketches because they tend to fade. But I would say in about probably early from the mid 80s onwards, I've used what is called a Figma Micron pen, which is a color fast pen that doesn't fade, and will always stay black, and those are safe inks.
But never use a ochre or a blue or something.
No, I have not. No, I have not. And basically, I draw with ink because, well, it's not quite true. In 1955, I was in France and I carried a sketchbook I drew in pencil. I still have that sketchbook, but the pencil transfers itself, even with the fixative on it. The pencil tends to fade, and so I switch. And I don't use watercolors, not that I can't, because I have done that as well. But again, it's initial timing. I want to be very fast, and I want to sit there. And afterwards, I guess I could recreate the sketch in watercolor. I have never done that. I will tell you a story of the French one, because I was in Chartres and I do a pencil sketch of the cathedral. And it's a wonderful cathedral. I don't know if any of you know it, but it has two different towers. It was built over 3 centuries, and it's got a mosaic on the floor that you can crawl along. It's supposed to be one of the rights you can do it. You can follow it along. But anyhow, I decided to use it as a Christmas card. I used to do my own Christmas cards. I use these sketches for Christmas cards. I decided to do that Christmas card for Chartres Cathedral as a lino print in 3 colors. And I guess I didn't choose my paper correctly. This was back in the 1950s, late 50s. And I started doing these Christmas cards, printing them. I was going to print about 50 of them in my bedroom. And they wouldn't dry and they wouldn't dry. And I remember 2 or 3 in the morning, they were spread all over the bedroom. I couldn't go to bed. They were drying. So I started again. You know, 3-color printing. You have to wait till one color dries, then put the second one and the third one to print it. But anyhow, that's what
Came out in July, maybe.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Peter.